Hello viewers, welcome once again. We have a problem on the board in geometry. The question says that in a triangle PQR, that is triangle PQR, that PQ, the distance PQ, is equal to the distance PR, and that distance is equal to 7 cm, and that the distance QR is equal to 8 cm. Find the height of that triangle, that is from the point P to QR. The very first thing we need to do is to represent this, to draw this and represent what we want to solve. So let's assume that this is the triangle. Let's assume that this is the triangle. And that it is a triangle called PQR. So here is P, Q, and R. It says that PQ, which is the distance from P to Q, is equal to the distance from P to R, and that is 7 cm. So here is 7 cm. Here is 7 cm. Then QR from this point to this point is 8 cm. It's 8 cm. So we have here to be 8 cm. Now when you look at this triangle, what we are asked to find is this height from here down. So this should be an isosceles triangle. What's an isosceles triangle? An isosceles triangle is a triangle in which two sides are equal and two angles are equal. In this case, you have two sides, this side and this side, they are equal. What it means is that this triangle is going to be bisymmetrical, meaning I can divide this triangle into two equal parts. So if I divide this triangle into two equal parts, I have that here, since from this point to this point is 8 cm, it means that from this point down here will be 4 cm, and from this point to this point will also be 4 cm, making 8 cm. So what we are asked to find is this height. We can call it h. So let's bring out this triangle, one part of this triangle. So we have something like this. Where here is the height, this point. Here is the 4 cm. Here is from P to Q, which is 7 cm. And here is going to be 90 degrees. So this is just this part of the triangle. Here is P, here is Q. So we know for a right angled triangle, to get the remaining sides of a right angled triangle, we need to implement what is called the Pythagoras theorem. And what does that Pythagoras theorem say? Pythagoras theorem says that if you have a right angled triangle, that the square of the hypotenuse, which is the side facing angle 90 degrees, is equal to the sum of the square of the adjacent plus the sum of the square of the opposites. Meaning the square of this side, which is the hypotenuse, is equal to the sum of the adjacent and sum of the square of the opposites. You can call this side the hypotenuse, you can call this side the opposite, and we can call this side the adjacent. So Pythagoras theorem says that implementing Pythagoras theorem, which states that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So in this case, we have that we can call here O. We have that this side, that is distance PQ, the square of the distance PQ is equal to square of the distance QO plus the square of the distance PO. So this side, the distance here is, which is the hypotenuse, in this case is 7 cm. So we have 7 square equals, from here to here is 4 cm. So we have 4 square plus, this is the height that we are looking for. We can represent it as h square. So if we collect like terms, we will have, if this crosses equality sign, we have that 7 square. Okay, we can say that 7 square, what is the value of 7 square? It is 49. And this is equal to, 4 square is equal to what? 16 plus h square. If we collect like terms, we have that 49 h square will be equal to, this crossing equality sign, we have 49 minus 16. And h square will be equal to, subtract this. If you subtract this, you're going to have 33. So, how do we get the value of h? We can say that h, since height can only be positive, we can say that h is equal to the square root of 33. If square crosses equality sign, it becomes square root. And the square root of 33 is, h is equal to 5.74 cm. I hope this is simple. So thank you for watching once again.